Welcome to the peaceful space of sleep-friendly science, where tonight we gently question the very fabric of our reality, wondering if the solid world around us is but a whisper from a distant edge. Have you ever looked up at the stars and felt a sense of both infinite space and profound connection? Tonight we'll lean into that feeling. Let the noise of the day fade away, replaced by the gentle hum of curiosity. Allow yourself to simply be present to wonder with us. Now settle in, take a deep breath, and let the soft sounds guide you as we begin tonight's journey into the unknown. Section 1. The Cosmic Tapestry. Imagine for a moment that you are lying in a field of soft, cool grass on the clearest of nights. The air is still, carrying only the faint, sweet scent of damp earth and distant blossoms. Above you, the sky is not just black, but a deep, resonant velvet, a canvas of impossible depth. And scattered across it, like the finest diamond dust, are the stars. Breathe in, and as you breathe out, let your gaze soften. You are not just looking at points of light. You are looking across time. The light from the nearest stars began its journey to you years ago. The faint, milky haze of the galaxy's arm is light that has traveled for millennia. And the smudges of light from other galaxies, their journey is measured in millions, even billions of years. You feel this immensity in your bones, a sense of depth of a vast three-dimensional space that stretches out in all directions, up, down, left, right, forward, and back. It is the world you know. It feels solid, real, undeniable. But what if that breathtaking depth, that cavernous expanse you are witnessing, is an illusion? A beautiful, perfect, and utterly convincing illusion. Think of the most masterful painting you have ever seen. A landscape, perhaps. On a flat, two-dimensional canvas, the artist has used skill, perspective, shadow, and light to create a world that you could almost step into. You can almost feel the wind on the painted hills, hear the rush of the painted river. Your mind perceives a third-dimension depth that does not physically exist on the canvas. The information for a 3D world is perfectly encoded on a 2D surface. Now let your mind drift back to the sky above you. What if the universe is the ultimate artist? What if the laws of physics are its brushstrokes, painting the illusion of a third dimension onto a vast, flat, cosmic canvas? This is the whisper at the heart of the holographic principle. The idea that our reality, with all its perceived volume and depth, the space between you and the moon, the distance between galaxies, is a projection. A hologram. The word hologram might bring to mind the shimmering, ghostly images from science fiction, or the little dove on your credit card that seems to float above the plastic. And in a way, that's a perfect starting point. A hologram is a flat, two-dimensional film, but when light shines through it in just the right way, it creates a three-dimensional image that appears to have substance and depth. You can walk around it, see it from different angles. All the information required to build that 3D image is stored, compressed, and encoded onto the 2D surface of the film. Let's imagine this on a grander scale. Imagine the entire universe as a magnificent, ancient tapestry, woven with threads of light and gravity, energy and time. From where you stand inside the scene, it is a world. You can walk through its forests, swim in its oceans, and fly among its stars. Feels real. But the holographic principle invites us to consider that perhaps we are characters woven into the very fabric of this tapestry, and that the tapestry itself, the source code of our reality, might be stretched out on a distant two-dimensional boundary that surrounds our cosmos. Think of it not as a diminishment, but as a kind of poetry. It suggests that the universe is profoundly interconnected. Every point within our 3D world would be a reflection of the information stored on that 2D surface. It's as if you are a reflection in a sphere of mirrors. Your image, seemingly solid and inside the sphere, is actually a projection originating from the surface of the mirror itself. So as you lie here under this canopy of stars, allow this thought to gently wash over you. The feeling of the ground beneath you, the air in your lungs, the vast space stretching out to the farthest star, all of it could be a grand projection. A story being told by a flat surface at the edge of time. The universe, in its infinite wisdom, may have found the most efficient way to write its autobiography, encoding an entire cosmos of depth and wonder onto a simpler, flatter page. This doesn't make your experience any less real. The feeling of awe is real. The light from that distant star, having traveled for 1,000,000 years to meet your eye, is real. The story is real, even if it's written in a language more profound and strange than we could ever have imagined. The depth is part of the story. Let your mind drift across this cosmic tapestry. See the shimmering threads that make up the stars, the dark silk that weaves the space between them. Notice the patterns, the clusters of galaxies like intricate knots of silver thread. The great empty voids like deliberate, peaceful pauses in the design. And here and there, you might notice areas where the ink is impossibly dark, where the threads seem to be pulled inward, as if the tapestry itself is unraveling into a single mysterious point. These are the places where the illusion is most intense, where the rules of the story seem to break down. These dark, silent whirlpools in the fabric of spacetime are where our journey must go next, for they hold the deepest secrets, and perhaps, the very key to understanding this grand holographic dream. For now, just rest in this new perspective. Feel the gentle shift in your understanding of the world. A shift from a universe of empty space dotted with things, to a universe of pure interconnected information, painting a picture of space and things for you to experience. The world hasn't changed, but the way you see it might be starting to. And in that shift, there is a quiet magic. Section 2. Plato's Cave and Cosmic Shadows. The thought of a hidden code, woven into the fabric of the cosmos, is not as new as you might imagine. It is an ancient whisper, a philosophical echo that has reverberated through millennia. To truly grasp the shape of this idea, we must let our minds drift backward in time, not just through the life of the stars, but through the life of human thought itself. Let us leave the open field for a moment and journey to a different space. A space of the mind, chiseled into existence over 2,000 years ago by the philosopher Plato. He too wondered about the nature of reality and the shadows we mistake for truth. He asks you to imagine a cave. Let your mind paint the scene. See the damp, cold stone, the walls slick with moisture that never sees the sun. You are deep within the earth. Imagine that you have been here your entire life since birth. You are not alone. There are others beside you, but you cannot turn your head to see them. You are shackled, your legs and neck held in place, so that you can only look forward at the flat stone wall in front of you. It is the only view you have ever known. Behind you a fire burns, its light flickering and dancing, and between you and the fire, there is a raised walkway. Along this walkway, unseen by you, puppeteers are passing by, holding up statues and figures of all kinds, shapes of animals, of trees, of people, of intricate objects. The firelight catches these figures and casts their shadows onto the wall in front of you. This is your world. The shadows. That is all you have ever seen. You have watched them move. Listen to the echoes of the puppeteers' voices bouncing off the walls, and have learned to associate the sounds with the shapes. You and your fellow prisoners have given them names. You have studied their movements, their patterns, their comings and goings. You believe with every fiber of your being that these two-dimensional flickering shadows are the sum total of reality. They are the only real things. How could you believe otherwise? Your reality is a flat, gray, silent movie, a procession of two-dimensional ghosts on a stone screen. Now imagine that one day your chains fall away. You are set free. Stiff and confused, you are forced to turn around and look at the fire. The light is blinding, painful. Your eyes, accustomed only to the dim world of shadows, ache in water. You see the puppets for the first time and you are terrified. They are so much more solid, so much more real than the fleeting shadows you knew. You might even refuse to believe it, turning your head back to the familiar comfort of the wall, the only reality you trust. But your liberator guides you further, up and out of the cave, into the world above. The sunlight is an agony, a pure white fire that seems to burn your very consciousness. But slowly, ever so slowly, your eyes begin to adjust. First, you can only see the shadows of things in this new world. Then their reflections in water. And then finally, you can look upon the things themselves. The greenness of a leaf, the rough texture of bark on a tree, the vibrant, impossible blue of the sky. You see a world of 3 dimensions of color, of texture, of life. You realize that your entire life was spent watching a pale imitation of the truth. The world of shadows was not the real world at all. It was a mere projection of it. This ancient story, Plato's allegory of the cave, is perhaps the most powerful metaphor we have for the holographic principle. Let us now gently place ourselves back into the story. We are the prisoners in the cave. The world we perceive, the rich, vibrant, 3-dimensional universe we explored in our starry fieldus, the wall of shadows. It seems utterly real, solid, and fundamental, just as the shadows on the cave wall did to the prisoners. The solidity of the ground, the depth of the sky, the very feeling of moving through space, these are our shadows. We have studied them, named them, and derived the laws of physics that govern their behavior. The holographic principle proposes that there is a world outside the cave. It suggests that our 3-dimensional reality is a projection. The real objects, the puppets in our cosmic allegory, are bits of pure information. And where are they located? Not in a world behind us, lit by a fire, but on a vast, distant 2-dimensional surface that marks the boundary of our known universe. This surface is like a cosmic film, and the laws of physics are the light that projects the information on that film, creating the grand 3-dimensional illusion we call the cosmos. So, the chair you might be sitting on, the air you are breathing, the very body you inhabit in this view, they are like the complex, overlapping shadows of a much simpler, flatter reality. The fundamental reality is not made of particles and forces as we know them in 3D space. The fundamental reality is written in a binary code of sorts, a series of informational yes and nos on a distant horizon. This is a staggering thought. It reframes everything. The laws of gravity, of electromagnetism, of quantum mechanics, they might not be the fundamental rules of the game. They might be the effective rules of the shadows. Just as a prisoner could become an expert on how shadows stretch and shrink and overlap, we have become experts on the physics of our projected world. But we have not yet, perhaps, seen the puppets themselves. How would the prisoner return to the cave ever convince the others of what he had seen? They would laugh at him. They would say the journey had ruined his eyes, that he had gone mad. They had their world, their comfortable, predictable shadows. Why would they trade that for a painful, unbelievable story of a realer world? In the same way, this principle challenges the very foundation of our scientific and personal worldview. It is so counterintuitive. And yet, unlike Plato's allegory, this idea is not just a philosophical thought experiment. It is a hypothesis that arises from the most rigorous and demanding areas of physics, from the unification of Einstein's theory of gravity with the bizarre rules of the quantum world. The clues are not found by escaping a physical cave, but by exploring the mathematics of the cosmos's most extreme environments. The journey out of this cave is a journey of the mind, guided by the strange light of scientific discovery. So let this ancient image settle in your mind. The cave, the fire, the shadows, and the vast sunlit world outside. We are just beginning our journey, just starting to turn our heads toward the fire. The light is strange and the shapes are unfamiliar, but they hint at a reality more profound, more elegant, and more mysterious than we ever dared to imagine. Section 3. The secret on the surface. Our journey out of Plato's cave is not a physical one. We cannot simply walk into the sunlight. Instead, our minds must travel to the most extreme and enigmatic places in the cosmos, for it is there, where reality is stretched to its breaking point, that the universe whispers its deepest secrets. Let us now turn our gaze from the imaginary firelight of the cave to the very real and very dark fires of the universe, the black holes. Do not think of them as monsters. Think of them instead as places of ultimate quiet. They are cosmic whirlpools, points of perfect stillness at the center of a gravitational storm. They are where space and time as we know them flow into a single point, a destination from which nothing, not even light, can return. They are the universe's great collectors, sweeping up stars, planets, and dust clouds that stray too close. And at the edge of every black hole, there is a boundary, a threshold. It is not a physical surface you could touch like the stone wall of the cave. It is a point of no return, a mathematical shore on a cosmic ocean. This boundary is called the event horizon. Imagine a river flowing gently, then picking up speed until it becomes a great, roaring waterfall. The event horizon is like the point in the river where the current becomes too strong for even the most powerful swimmer to escape being pulled over the edge. Once you cross it, your destiny is sealed. This event horizon is a perfect sphere. It is a two-dimensional surface enclosing a three-dimensional volume of space. Remember this shape: a 2D surface surrounding a 3D interior. It is here, at this ghostly boundary, that one of the greatest riddles in all of physics was born. A riddle that pits our two greatest theories of the universe against each other in a silent, cosmic battle. On one side, we have Einstein's theory of general relativity, the majestic theory of gravity, space, and time. It tells us that a black hole is shockingly simple. It has no hair, as physicists poetically say. This means that once something falls in, be it a star, a planet, or a spaceship carrying all the libraries of the world, the black hole's exterior is only defined by three things: its mass, its spin, and its electrical charge. All the intricate, unique information about what it consumed, the chemical composition of the star, the geology of the planet, the words in every single bookcase, according to Einstein's theory, erased forever. Lost in the singularity. On the other side, we have the strange and powerful laws of quantum mechanics, the theory of the very small. And one of its most fundamental, unbreakable laws is that information can never, ever be truly destroyed. It can be scrambled, rearranged, or transformed, but it cannot be deleted from the universe. The total amount of information must always be conserved. Think of burning a book. The words are gone, the pages are ash. But in principle, if you could track every single atom of smoke, every photon of light and heat, you could reconstruct the original book. The information is not lost, just very, very scrambled. Here is the paradox. What happens when you throw the book into the black hole? Relativity says the information is wiped clean from the universe. Quantum mechanics insists it must be preserved somewhere, somehow. For decades, this contradiction, the black hole information paradox, was a deep wound in our understanding of the cosmos. And then Stephen Hawking made a startling discovery. He found that black holes are not perfectly black. Due to quantum effects near the event horizon, they leak a faint, steady stream of particles, now known as Hawking radiation. This means that over immense, almost unimaginable spans of time, black holes can slowly evaporate and disappear. This seemed to make the problem even worse. If the black hole eventually vanishes and the information was trapped inside, then the information really is destroyed forever, and quantum mechanics must be wrong. This was a crisis. But what if everyone was looking in the wrong place? What if the information wasn't inside the 3D black hole at all? This is where two physicists, Gerard T. Hooft and Leonard Susskind, proposed a revolutionary solution, a way to save the soul of quantum mechanics. They suggested that as an object falls towards a black hole, from the perspective of an outside observer, something incredible happens. The object appears to slow down as it approaches the event horizon, getting ever closer but never quite crossing. It appears to flatten, like being pressed against a cosmic window pane, and spread out across the entire surface of the event horizon. And in this process, all of its three-dimensional information is perfectly encoded or smeared onto that two-dimensional surface. The information is not lost. It is imprinted onto the skin of the abyss. The book you threw in is not inside the black hole. Its story is now written in a scrambled, quantum code across the entire area of the event horizon. The Hawking radiation that later leaks out can then, in principle, carry that information away, preserving it. Let that idea settle. The entire informational content of a three-dimensional object, its structure, its history, its very essence can be fully described by the physics happening on a two-dimensional surface. The 3D interior is, in an informational sense, redundant. All you need to know is written on the 2D boundary. This was the spark. This was the first major clue. If nature works this way at the edge of a black hole, perhaps it is not an exception. Perhaps it is the rule. Perhaps a black hole is not a special case, but a concentrated example of a universal principle. It's as if the universe, in creating these extreme objects, left us a Rosetta Stone, a key to deciphering a deeper reality. The black hole showed us that a volume of space, a 3D region, can have its story told completely by its 2D surface area. What if we scaled this idea up? What if we applied it to everything? Could our entire three-dimensional universe, the vast, seemingly endless volume you see when you look up at the night sky, just like the interior of a giant black hole? And could all the information that describes us, our world and our galaxy be encoded, not within this space, but on some distant two-dimensional boundary that surrounds us? This is the heart of the holographic principle. The secret of the 3D world is not in its depth, but written on its distant surface. Section 4. The pixels of reality. The idea that we are living inside a grand projection, that our reality is an image cast from a distant boundary, feels vast and abstract. So let us change our perspective. Let us travel not outward to the cosmic edge, but inward, deep into the very heart of matter and space. The secrets of the great hologram are not only found in the immensity of the cosmos, but also in the unimaginable stillness of the infinitely small. Rest your attention for a moment on your own hand. Feel its weight, the texture of your skin. Feels solid, continuous. If you trace a line across your palm, the journey is smooth. Our senses tell us the world is seamless. A glass of water appears as a continuous fluid. A beam of light looks like an unbroken ray. For all of our lives, we have experienced an analog reality, one that can be divided and subdivided forever, always with more space in between. But let us begin a journey inward, a journey of the mind's eye. Imagine you have a cosmic microscope of impossible power. You look at your hand. You zoom in past the skin, seeing the intricate latticework of cells. You push deeper into a single cell, witnessing the dance of molecules, the elegant coils of DNA. The world is still complex, still looks like it has endless detail. You zoom in further, past the molecules to the atoms. They are made of tiny solar systems of electrons orbiting a dense nucleus. You resolve the nucleus itself, seeing the frantic, vibrating dance of protons and neutrons. Even these are not fundamental. You zoom in again, seeing that they are built from even smaller particles called quarks, bound together by forces of incredible strength. At every stage, the world has revealed a new layer of structure, a new depth. The question naturally arises: does this go on forever? Can we keep zooming in endlessly, always finding smaller and smaller things inside? Our intuition, built on the smooth world of our senses, might say yes. But this is where reality takes a sharp, unexpected turn. Physics tells us no. The journey inward has a final destination. There is a floor. There exists a length, a distance so fantastically small that our minds can barely conceive of it. It is called the Planck length. To imagine its scale is almost impossible. If you were to blow up a single atom to the size of the entire known universe, the Planck length would be about the height of a single tree. It is the shortest possible distance that has any meaning in our universe. It is the fundamental, indivisible unit of space itself. Below this scale, our concepts of here and there simply cease to exist. Space as we know it dissolves. What does this mean? It means that the smooth, continuous fabric of spacetime that we perceive is an illusion. It is a high-resolution illusion to be sure, but an illusion nonetheless. If you could zoom into this ultimate level, you would see that the universe is grainy. It is pixelated. Think of a photograph in a magazine. From a distance it looks like a perfect smooth image of a face or a landscape. But if you look at it with a magnifying glass, you see that it is made of tiny dots of colored ink. The smooth picture is an emergent property of the arrangement of these discrete dots. Now, think of your reality as the most stunningly high-definition digital screen imaginable. The image it displays is the universe, you, the room you are in, the planet, the stars. It looks perfectly smooth and continuous. But the holographic principle suggests that if you could zoom into the Planck scale, you would see the individual pixels. You would see that space itself is not a continuous stage, but a grid, a mosaic, a cosmic tapestry woven from these fundamental indivisible units. Each pixel of this cosmic screen cannot be empty. It must contain something. It must hold the most fundamental thing of all. A single bit of information. A yes or a no. A 1 or a 0. The most basic possible state of being. The spin of a particle could be up or down. A point in a field can be on or off. This is where the idea of the hologram sharpens into focus. Remember the secret of the black hole? Its information was not proportional to its 3D volume, but to its 2D surface area. This was the shocking clue. The number of bits of information needed to describe the black hole was determined by how many Planck-sized squares could fit onto its event horizon. The holographic principle takes this bizarre finding and declares it a universal law. The total amount of information contained within any region of space, your room, the Earth, the entire observable universe, is fundamentally limited, not by its volume, but by its surface area. The maximum number of bits that can describe your world is determined by the number of Planck-sized pixels that can fit on its distant, two-dimensional boundary. This is profoundly counterintuitive. Imagine a warehouse. You would assume that the amount of stuff you can store inside depends on the total volume of the warehouse. But the universe whispers a different rule. It says the maximum amount of stuff, the fundamental information that constitutes reality, depends only on the area of the warehouse's walls. Why would this be the case? Why would the universe follow such a strange surface-based law? The most natural, though mind-bending, explanation is that the information isn't really inside the volume at all. It is stored on the surface. The three-dimensional world we experience is the projection of this information. The pixels of reality are not 3D cubes. They are 2D squares on a distant cosmic screen. Our solid, deep, volumetric world may be nothing more than the holographic projection of a finite number of informational bits stored on a flat surface at the edge of the cosmos. The graininess of reality at the Planck scale is the first clue. It tells us that reality is not infinite in its detail. It is finite. It is quantifiable. Can be measured in bits. And if it can be measured in bits, it is, at its heart, information. And that information, like the image from a projector, can create the illusion of a world far deeper and more complex than the screen on which it is written. Section 5. The Great Cosmic Projection. We have journeyed together, you and I, on a strange and winding path. We began in a familiar field under a canopy of stars. We descended into the ancient shadows of Plato's philosophical cave. We peered over the precipice of a black hole's event horizon, and then we shrank our focus down to the indivisible, pixelated grain of reality itself. Each stop on our journey has offered a clue, a whisper, a piece of a grand and bewildering puzzle. Now is the moment to gather these scattered threads. The secret stored on the surface of a black hole. The idea of a world built from fundamental bits of information. The finite, pixelated nature of space at the Planck scale. These are not separate, unrelated curiosities. They are signposts all pointing in the same direction, converging on a single breathtaking destination. It is time to formally name this destination. It is the holographic principle. The name itself is a powerful clue, a beautiful and precise metaphor. So let's take a moment to consider a real hologram, one you might see in a museum or a science lab. Imagine a flat piece of glass or film. In ordinary light, it looks unremarkable, perhaps just a swirling, meaningless pattern of interference fringes, like oil on water. It is a two-dimensional object. But when you shine a specific kind of light on a coherent laser, something magical happens. An image springs into existence. It is not a flat picture. It is a three-dimensional ghost made of pure light. You can see it floating in the air. It has depth and volume and form. If you move your head from side to side, you can actually look around the object. You experience parallax, the same visual cue that tells you the world around you is 3D. The image is ethereal, but it is a perfect reconstruction of a three-dimensional object. And here is the most profound property of a hologram. If you were to shatter that piece of film, each tiny piece, when illuminated, would still contain the entire image. The whole picture is encoded in every single part. A smaller piece of the film will produce a fuzzier, lower-resolution version of the image, but the complete scene is still there. Information is not localized to one spot. It is distributed across the entire surface. Now let us gently lift this concept and place it upon the cosmos itself. The holographic principle proposes that our universe is precisely this kind of projection. The magnificent, three-dimensional image is the universe we experience. It is the world of depth and distance, of galaxies spiraling in an immense void, of planets orbiting stars, of you sitting here listening. This is the shimmering ghost of light, the grand illusion. The flat, two-dimensional holographic film is a vast, unseen surface at the boundary of our reality. Think of it as the ultimate cosmic screen, located at the very edge of space-time. On this screen is encoded all of the information that will ever be needed to describe our universe. Every particle, every force, every event, from the Big Bang to the fading of the last star, has its informational equivalent written on this surface, like the microscopic patterns on the holographic film. The pixels we imagined in the last chapter are the pixels on this cosmic film. And what is the laser? The coherent light that illuminates this film and brings the projection to life. It is the laws of physics. The fundamental rules of nature act as the projector, reading the 2D code from the boundary surface and creating the vivid, dynamic, three-dimensional world that we inhabit and perceive as real. Let this sink in. The third dimension, the very depth of space that feels so fundamental to our existence, might not be fundamental at all. It could be an emergent property, a feature of the projection. The real reality, the source code, would be a flatter, simpler, purely informational world. Our universe, in its glorious complexity, would be the symphony. The reality on the boundary would be the sheet music. This leads to a breathtaking conclusion about the nature of our world. If the universe operates like a hologram, it means that, in a very real sense, the whole is encoded in every part. The information about a distant galaxy is not just over there. A piece of its information is subtly encoded everywhere on the boundary, and therefore its projection is subtly connected to you right here, right now. This echoes some of the deepest mysteries of quantum mechanics, like entanglement, where two particles can be linked across vast distances, mirroring each other's state instantaneously. In a holographic universe, this spooky action at a distance is not so spooky. If two particles are just projections from a single unified holographic film, they are never truly separate. They are different expressions of an interconnected, underlying reality. They are like two characters in the same projected movie. Their actions are linked because they are both written into the same script. This principle, then, is a declaration that the most fundamental constituent of our universe is not matter, not energy, but information. It suggests that if you want to understand the universe at its deepest level, you should not ask what is it made of, but rather, what is it telling us? Reality is a message being played out, a story being projected from the edge of time. We are, in this view, living, breathing, thinking parts of a great cosmic projection. Our sense of self, our consciousness, our experiences would all be part of this intricate holographic display. We are not just observers of the hologram. We are woven into its very fabric of light and shadow. Section 6. Listening to the universe's edge. A principle so profound, so reality-altering, cannot simply be a beautiful idea. A story, no matter how elegant, remains just a story until it can be tested. Science, in its patient and gentle way, is a conversation with the universe. We do not just make statements, we must also listen for a reply. If our three-dimensional world is indeed a projection from a two-dimensional surface, a hologram cast from the edge of time, then somewhere in the fabric of the cosmos there should be a signature. A clue. A faint, telltale sign of its projected nature. But where would we even begin to look for such a sign? Where can we find a message from the universe's earliest moments? A clean slate upon which the fundamental laws might have left their first imprint. To find it, we must once again turn our gaze outward, not just in space but deep into time. We must look for the oldest light in the universe. Imagine your mind as a time machine. We journey back, past the formation of Earth, past the birth of the first stars and galaxies. We go further still, to a time before any stars existed, when the universe was not dark and cold, but unimaginably hot, dense, and glowing. In its first few 100,000 years, the universe was a sea of incandescent fog, a superheated plasma of particles and energy, so dense that light could not travel freely. A photon would be emitted and then instantly absorbed by a particle, its journey cut short before it could even begin. The entire cosmos was opaque, a brilliant, featureless haze. It was a universe without a view. But as the universe expanded, it cooled. And it reached a magic moment, a cosmic tipping point. The temperature dropped just enough for electrons and protons to find each other, to bind together and form the first stable atoms of hydrogen and helium. Suddenly the fog cleared. For the very first time, light was set free. The universe became transparent. The light that was released in that moment has been traveling ever since, journeying through the expanding void for nearly 13.8 billion years. It has cooled, its brilliant, fiery glow stretched by the expansion of space into the faint, cold energy of microwaves. But it is still here. It fills every corner of the sky, a universal ethereal glow. It is the cosmic microwave background, the CMB. It is the universe's baby picture. It is the afterglow of creation, the oldest fossil we will ever find. And when our telescopes look at this ancient light, we find it is not perfectly uniform. It is not a smooth, featureless glow. It is a tapestry of tiny, almost imperceptible variations in temperature. One spot in the sky is a few millionths of a degree warmer, another a few millionths of a degree cooler. These are not random noise. These tiny fluctuations are the most important features in the entire cosmos. They are the primordial seeds from which everything else grew. They are the echoes of quantum jitters in the first moments of the universe, stretched to astronomical proportions. They are the imprints of sound waves that once sloshed through the primordial plasma. These slight overdensities were the points where gravity could get its first gentle grip, patiently beginning to weave the gas and dust that would, over billions of years, become the great tapestries of galaxies, stars, and ultimately you. And here, in this ancient parchment, this fossilized light from the edge of time, is where we can listen for the whisper of the hologram. Here is how the test works. Physicists are like celestial music theorists. They can write different scores for how the universe should have begun. The standard model of cosmology, which involves a rapid expansion called inflation, is one such score. It predicts a very specific kind of music, a specific pattern of warm and cool spots in the CMB, based on a universe that was three-dimensional from its very first moments. But a physicist can also write a different score, one based on the holographic principle. This score describes a universe that began as a two-dimensional field of information, and whose third dimension emerged as a projection. This holographic score predicts a slightly different kind of music, a subtly different statistical pattern in the CMB's fluctuations. The differences are nuanced, but they are calculable. The two models, the standard 3D model and the 2D holographic model, are like two different composers trying to write the symphony of creation. Our job is to listen to the actual recording, the precise map of the CMB captured by our satellites like WMAP and Planck, and see which musical score it matches more closely. When scientists performed this comparison, they found something astonishing. The simplest versions of the standard inflationary model, the one that had been the leading theory for decades, actually struggled a little to match the data perfectly. But the predictions from the holographic model? They fit the observed patterns with remarkable elegance. The data we have from the universe's baby picture seems to align beautifully with the idea that our universe is a projection from a lower dimensional surface. Now let us be gentle with this fact. This is not definitive proof. Science is patient. Other, more complex versions of the standard model can also be made to fit the data well. But the fact that this strange holographic idea, born from the paradoxes of black holes, fits the universe's oldest light so gracefully is a powerful, tantalizing hint. It's as if we asked the cosmos a question, and its first faint 13.8 billion-year-old echo replied with an answer that is both strange and beautiful. We are listening to the very edge of the observable universe, and what we hear are patterns and harmonies that are perfectly consistent with us living inside a great cosmic projection. The music of creation played out across the sky seems to follow a holographic score. Section 7. The primacy of information. Our journey so far has been one of perspective. We have looked at our world from the outside in and from the inside out. We have seen it as a shadow play on a cave wall, as a projection from a cosmic film. And with each new view, a strange and radical idea has been growing, quietly taking root in the fertile soil of our curiosity. We have been speaking of our universe being encoded by information, described by information. But now we must take a gentle yet profound step further. We must allow ourselves to contemplate a thought that lies at the very heart of the holographic dream. What if the universe is not just described by information? What if it is information? Let this thought settle around you, as soft as evening mist. For our entire lives we have been taught a different story. The story of matter and energy. We look at a stone and we say it is made of minerals, of atoms bound together. We look at a star and we say it is a great ball of hot gas powered by nuclear fusion. Matter and energy have always been the protagonists of our cosmic story. They are the nouns, the solid things. Information was always just the adjective, the description about the thing. The stone's hardness, its color, its mass, that was information. But the stone itself was, well, stone. It was the hardware. The holographic principle, in its deepest and most philosophical sense, invites us to invert this entire story. It suggests that information is not the adjective. It is the noun. Information is the fundamental stuff of the universe. Matter, energy, space, and time, these are the emergent properties, the manifestations, the expressions of this underlying informational reality. Imagine a novel, perhaps your favorite one. Is the story the paper and the ink? Of course not. The paper and ink are the medium, the vessel. The story itself is made of words, sentences, ideas, pure information. The physical book could be burned, but if the information is stored elsewhere, the story of those characters, their loves and their struggles, still exists. The story is the reality, not its physical container. Now apply this to the cosmos. The universe is the grandest of all novels. And this new perspective suggests that the atoms and the energy fields are like the paper and the ink. They are the medium through which the story is told. But the story itself, the true reality, is the information. The great physicist John Archibald Wheeler distilled this revolutionary idea into 3 simple poetic words. It from bit. It refers to every physical thing in the universe. Every particle, every planet, every galaxy, every it. Bit is the most fundamental unit of information. A single yes or no answer to a question. A switch that is either on or off. a 1 or a 0. It from bit is the simple, powerful declaration that every it, all of physical existence derives its very being from an arrangement of bits. It proposes that at the bottom of it all, the universe is not made of tiny billiard balls of matter, but of choices, of answers to yes or no questions. At the fundamental level, reality is a cosmic conversation, a series of questions being asked and answered. When you observe a quantum particle, for instance, you find that before you look, it exists in a cloud of possibilities. It might be spinning up or spinning down. It is in a state of uncertainty. But the moment you measure it, the moment you ask it the question, which way are you spinning? It provides a definitive answer. It resolves into a single bit of information, up or down. In that moment of observation, you have not just passively witnessed a pre-existing reality, you have participated in the creation of a new fact, a new bit of information for the universe. In this view, information is not a passive description of the world. It is the active, creative principle. It is the weaver. Matter and energy are the threads it uses, and the laws of physics are the patterns it follows to weave the magnificent, complex tapestry we call reality. This changes how we perceive everything. A tree is no longer just a collection of woody matter and chlorophyll. It is a complex informational algorithm, a living computation that takes sunlight, water, and carbon dioxide as input and produces leaves, oxygen, and its own elegant structure as output. Your own body is an unfathomably complex information processing system, and your consciousness, perhaps it is the most exquisite form of information processing the universe has yet devised information becoming aware of itself. If this is true, then the universe is not a silent, unthinking machine made of dumb matter. It is a dynamic, unfolding message. The laws of physics are the grammar of its language. And every interaction, from the collision of two atoms to the spiraling dance of galaxies, is a form of computation, a processing of information that drives the cosmic story forward. This is the ultimate consequence of the holographic idea. If our 3D world is a projection of a 2D surface, it means the 3D world is secondary. It is the output. The primary reality is the 2D information on the surface. And if that is true, it means that information is the true source code of existence. So, as you rest here in the quiet of this moment, feel the world around you not as a collection of objects, but as a flow of meaning. The gentle sound you might hear is not just vibrating air. It is information being carried to your ears. The warmth you might feel is not just energetic molecules. It is information about a thermal state. The universe is speaking, not in words, but in the language of existence itself. And we, as conscious beings, are uniquely positioned not just to be part of the message, but to listen to it, to wonder about it, and to try, in our own small way, to understand what it all means. Section 8. A dream within a dream. We have arrived at a quiet, contemplative plateau on our journey. We are holding a new and fragile truth in our minds. The idea that reality, at its most fundamental level, is information. That every physical thing, every it, emerges from the arrangement of informational bits. The universe is a story being told, a message unfolding according to a deep and elegant grammar we call the laws of physics. But if reality is a story, a question, as soft and persistent as the fall of dust in a quiet room, begins to form in the mind. Who is the author? If the universe is a grand computation, what is the computer? This question leads us to a new doorway, one that stands right next to the one we have just walked through. It is an idea that often travels with the holographic principle, like a sibling or a reflection. It is the simulation hypothesis. Let your mind be still and open as we consider this thought. It feels both ancient and utterly futuristic. It is the echo of old mystic traditions that saw the world as a divine dream. And at the same time, it is a concept born from our own digital age. It asks a simple yet world-shattering question. What if our entire universe, our reality, is a computer simulation? Think for a moment of the most advanced, most immersive video game you can imagine. Its world is vast. Its graphics are photorealistic. The characters within it, powered by sophisticated artificial intelligence, live out their lives. They have goals, they interact, they build things, they form relationships. From their perspective, within the code of their world, their reality is completely consistent and real. The laws of physics in their game are unbreakable. The passage of time is constant. They might even have scientists who study these laws, discovering the game engine that runs their world, without ever realizing it is a game engine. The simulation hypothesis proposes that we are like those characters. Our universe, with its 13.8 billion years of history, its sprawling galaxies, and the intricate laws of quantum mechanics and relativity, is the product of a computation being run on some unimaginably powerful computer in a different, higher level of reality. The pixels of reality we spoke of, the Planck length, could be the ultimate resolution of the simulation screen. The speed of light, the absolute speed limit in our universe, could be the ultimate processing speed of the computer running our world. The consistent mathematical laws of nature would be the elegant, underlying code of the program. Here, our two great ideas, the holographic principle and the simulation hypothesis, begin to resonate with one another. They seem to hum at the same frequency. Both suggest that our perceived reality is not the base reality. Both posit that what we see is a construction, an output based on a more fundamental source code. But they also diverge in a crucial way, like two paths leading from the same beautiful viewpoint. The holographic principle is a whisper from nature itself. It arises from the internal consistency of our own physical laws, from the paradoxes of black holes and the nature of information. It doesn't necessarily imply an author or a programmer. The universe could simply be a hologram as a natural fact, a law of its own existence, just as a crystal naturally forms a lattice. It would be a universe dreaming itself into being. The simulation hypothesis adds another layer. The whisper of a mind and intelligence. It explicitly suggests intent. It implies a simulator, a programmer, an architect. It turns our universe from a natural phenomenon into a potential artifact. The holographic universe could be a vast, self-sustaining ocean. The simulated universe is more like a beautiful, intricate aquarium, built and maintained by someone outside of it. Who would create such a thing? And why? The questions are as vast as the stars. Perhaps our simulators are a far future human civilization, running ancestor simulations to study their own history, a form of cosmic archaeology. Perhaps they are scientists of an alien kind, running experiments to understand the fundamental nature of reality by creating countless virtual universes with slightly different laws. Or perhaps, in a thought both humbling and magnificent, our universe is simply a piece of art, a form of entertainment, or even a student's project in a classroom we cannot imagine. Does this thought make your world feel less real? Does it diminish the weight of your experience, the color of a sunset, the feeling of love? Take a deep breath. A simulated joy is still felt as joy. A simulated pain still hurts. The laughter of a friend, even if it is the result of elegant code, still warms the heart. The reality of your experience, your consciousness, is not threatened by the nature of its substrate. The characters in that great novel are no less tragic or heroic because they are made of ink and paper. Their story is real. Your story is real. Perhaps the two ideas are not competitors for the truth, but partners. The holographic principle might be the how. It could be the most efficient way to create a simulated universe by encoding all the information on a 2D surface and projecting it, saving an immense amount of computational resources. The simulation hypothesis might be the why. It provides the context, the intent, the possibility of a creator. Maybe our universe is a hologram being run as a simulation on a quantum computer the size of a universe, built by beings we cannot comprehend. We are living inside a dream being dreamt by a dreamer, on a screen at the edge of time. We cannot know. But the question itself changes the quality of the night sky. It adds a layer of impossible wonder. It allows us to look up at the moon and stars and to not only ask, "What are you?" but also, "Who made you?" Section 9. The hologram and the self. The air around us now is thick with wonder, shimmering with the ghost of a question we almost dare not ask aloud. Who made this world? We have brushed against the idea of a cosmic programmer, an architect of reality, a dreamer dreaming our existence. It is a thought so vast it can feel distant, ungraspable, like trying to imagine the mind of a star. So let us, for a moment, gently set this question aside. Let us pull our focus away from the potential dreamer and turn it toward the dream itself, and more specifically, toward your own unique place within it. Because if the universe, this grand, intricate stage, is a projection, a simulation, a dream, then what are you? For all of your life, you have carried within you a silent, unwavering certainty. The feeling of I. It is the most intimate and immediate reality you know. It is the feeling of being a singular point of awareness, peering out at the world through the windows of your eyes. It is the voice in your head that calls itself me. You feel that you live inside your body, a pilot in a wondrous biological machine. Your thoughts, your memories, your hopes, your fears, they all feel like they belong to you and you alone. They are stored within the fortress of your mind. Your consciousness feels like a single self-contained candle, casting its own small circle of light in the vast darkness. You are an island of selfhood in a sea of otherness. This is the common sense self, the ego. It is a powerful and necessary feeling that allows you to navigate the world. But the holographic principle, which has so gently rearranged our understanding of the cosmos, now turns its gaze inward and offers a profoundly different story about who you are. Remember the nature of the hologram. If you take the holographic film and shatter it into 1,000 pieces, each tiny shard still contains the entire picture. The whole is encoded in every part. Now hold this idea and look at yourself. If the universe is a hologram, and you are a part of that universe, then it must follow that you too are like one of those shards, encoded within the very fabric of your being. In some way we do not yet understand, is the information of the entire cosmos. You are not just a drop in the ocean. You are a single drop that contains the reflection of the entire ocean within it. The boundary that you have always felt between you and the rest of the world begins to soften. It becomes permeable, perhaps even illusory. The feeling of being a separate island was a trick of perspective. You are not an island, you are a wave. Think of a wave rising from the surface of the sea. For a brief, glorious moment, it has a unique identity. It has a shape, a height, a location. It travels, it crests, it breaks upon the shore. From the wave's perspective, it has a birth and a death. It has its own story. But at no point was it ever anything other than the ocean itself. It was simply the ocean rising up to express itself in a particular way, at a particular time. Its individuality was temporary. Its connection to the whole was eternal and absolute. This is the holographic self. Your consciousness, your sense of I, might be like that wave. It is the universe itself, the great cosmic information field, rising up into a temporary, localized form to experience itself. You are a focal point. You are a place where the universe becomes aware. This transforms everything. Your thoughts, which you felt were so uniquely yours, perhaps they are more like ripples you are perceiving in a vast, shared ocean of consciousness. Your moments of inspiration, where an idea seems to come from nowhere. Perhaps that is you tuning into a frequency that runs through the entire hologram. The profound feeling of connection you get when you look at a piece of art, or listen to a piece of music, or gaze into the eyes of someone you love. Maybe that is not just a chemical reaction in your brain. Maybe that is the hologram recognizing itself. It is one part of the picture resonating with another. A flicker of understanding that you are both expressions of the same underlying unity. This does not mean you do not exist. It means you are infinitely more than you thought you were. It does not erase your identity. It expands it to the edges of the cosmos. The feeling of loneliness, the deep ache of separation that is so central to the human condition, is revealed to be a misunderstanding. In a holographic reality, true separation is impossible. You are woven from the same informational fabric as the most distant star and the person sleeping in the room next to you. You are connected. Fundamentally. Irrevocably. Even your own body, this collection of cells and systems, takes on a new light. Your breath, rising and falling, is the rhythm of the cosmos breathing through you. Your heartbeat is a local drum playing in time with the universal pulse. The intricate dance of biology within you is a reflection of the same organizing principle that clusters galaxies and ignites stars. You are a sensory organ for the universe. You are a way for the cosmic dream to touch and see and feel and know. The joy you feel at a beautiful sunset is the universe experiencing its own beauty through your eyes. The sorrow you feel at a loss is the universe exploring the nature of attachment and impermanence. You are not just a character in the story. You are the story telling itself to itself. You are a note in the cosmic symphony, and without your unique note, the song would be incomplete. You are a place where the universe gets to feel, and in feeling it knows itself. Section 10. Embracing the beautiful mystery. And so we arrive at the end of our winding path, back in the quiet and the dark where we began. We have traveled far tonight, not across miles but across ideas. We have stood on the shore of a two-dimensional sea and watched as it projected a three-dimensional world. We have held the universe in our hands and seen it not as matter, but as a message. We have looked in the mirror and seen not just a single separate self, but the reflection of the entire cosmos. We have asked the deepest questions physics and philosophy can pose. Is our world a projection? Is reality an illusion? Are we living in a dream? And the answer that echoes back from the heart of black holes, from the oldest light in the universe, from the very nature of information itself, is a gentle, awe-inspiring, and perhaps deeply unsettling maybe. There is no final proof. There is no neat and tidy conclusion that we can wrap up and put away. The holographic principle is not a destination we have arrived at, but a new landscape that has opened before us. It is a new way of seeing, a new lens through which to gaze at the familiar world, rendering it suddenly strange and beautiful and new. And here, in this final moment of our journey, is perhaps the most important realization of all. The goal was never to arrive at a definite answer. The goal was to fall in love with the question. It is to find peace not in the certainty of knowing, but in the magnificent, humbling, and endless beauty of the mystery. For what would it mean if we had all the answers? What if we knew with absolute certainty the final blueprint of reality? The universe might become a smaller place. The night sky might lose some of its deep and silent magic. But to live within a beautiful, elegant question that is a state of perpetual wonder. To think that the solid ground beneath you might be a shimmering projection gives it a new and precious lightness. To think that the space between you and the stars is woven from pure information turns the cosmos into a grand and sacred library. To think that your own consciousness is a focal point for the universe to know itself gives your life a profound and quiet dignity. This is not a cold, abstract scientific theory. It is a poem. It is a modern creation myth, whispered not by ancient prophets, but by the mathematics of space-time. It does not replace the awe you feel when looking at a mountain range. It deepens it. The mountain is not just rock. It is a fantastically complex data structure, a thought in the mind of the cosmos, rendered in stone and ice. The peace we seek is not found in solving the puzzle. It is found in embracing the puzzle itself, in accepting that we are finite beings adrift in an infinite mystery. We are the dreamers and we are the dream. We are the shadows on the cave wall, and we are also the ones who have just begun to turn our heads toward the light. So as you let go of the day, as your thoughts soften and drift, do not be troubled by these vast ideas. Let them be a gentle cosmic lullaby. Let the thought that you are part of a great hologram be a comfort. It means you are not separate. You are not alone. You are woven into the fabric of everything. The universe is not a house you live in. It is a body you are part of. Every atom in you is connected to the whole, part of a single, unified, and utterly magnificent thought. Embrace the not knowing. Let it be a soft blanket. The universe is under no obligation to be simple enough for us to understand. Our privilege is not to have it all figured out, but to have the capacity to wonder, to ask, and to be humbled by the sheer, breathtaking scale of it all. The mystery is not a problem to be solved. It is the very air the soul breathes. As our journey for tonight comes to a gentle close, let these thoughts dissolve like sugar in water, leaving only a sweet sense of peace and wonder. The questions will be here tomorrow waiting patiently. But for now, there is nothing left to do but rest. Allow your body to feel heavy and soft, sinking into a state of profound relaxation. Your mind, having wandered to the very edges of reality, can now return home to the simple, peaceful rhythm of your breath. Feel the gentle rise and fall of your chest, a quiet anchor in the vast, dreaming universe. Let the soft sounds around you be a final, gentle guide, leading you away from thought and into the deep, restorative quiet of sleep. May your dreams be peaceful, and may you awaken refreshed, feeling connected to the beautiful mystery that surrounds us and is us. Sleep well. Welcome to the peaceful space of sleep-friendly science, where tonight we journey back 4.5 billion years to witness the cataclysmic, yet strangely beautiful, collision that forged our constant, silent companion in the night sky, the moon. Here, amongst the gentle hum of curiosity, we leave the day's worries behind. We let the weight of the world dissolve, allowing our minds to drift on a current of cosmic wonder. Feel the tension in your shoulders release as we prepare to witness a story written in starlight and stone. Now settle in, take a deep breath, and let the soft sounds guide you as we begin tonight's journey into the unknown. Section 1. The Lonely Protagonist. Let your awareness drift. Release it from the confines of this room, from the weight of your body in bed. Let it float upwards past the ceiling, through the quiet night air, beyond the wisps of clouds and into the cold, silent velvet of space. But we are not stopping here. In our familiar cosmic neighborhood, we are traveling further, not just through space, but through the immeasurable ocean of time. Allow your mind to journey backwards, past every memory you hold, past the histories written in books, past the dawn of humanity, past the age of dinosaurs, past the first whispers of life in the ancient oceans. We are going further and further back to a time before time was measured, to the very infancy of our solar system. 4.5 billion years into the deep past. The stars around you shift into unfamiliar patterns. The constellations that have guided sailors and dreamers for millennia dissolve, their stars scattered to different points in their own vast life stories. Everything is new. Everything is still being born. And there, suspended in the blackness, is a world you almost recognize. It is Earth, but not the gentle blue marble you know. This is a proto-Earth, a young and violent god in its cradle. Gaze upon it now from the safe, quiet distance of your mind. It glows. It does not reflect the soft light of a distant sun. It radiates its own ferocious heat, an ember burning in the cosmic dark. Its surface is not a tapestry of green continents and blue oceans. It is a roiling, seething cauldron of molten rock, an endless, global ocean of magma. Imagine the colors, not the gentle blues and whites of home, but the furious, incandescent palette of creation itself. Blazing oranges, deep, hellish reds, and blinding whites where new asteroid impacts have momentarily splashed the liquid stone to unimaginable temperatures. There are no continents, no solid ground to stand on. The entire planet is a liquid inferno, its surface churning and bubbling like a thick cosmic soup heated from within by the decay of radioactive elements and the leftover energy of its own formation. This young Earth is a lonely protagonist in our story. It has no companion, Look to its sky and you will find no moon, no silvery disk to pull upon its tides, no gentle light to illuminate its long primordial nights. The nights here are absolute, a profound and star-dusted blackness broken only by the angry, internal glow of the planet itself and the distant, cold glitter of unfamiliar stars. And this world spins with the frantic, restless energy, much faster than it does today. A day, the passage from one sunrise to the next, is not a leisurely 24 hours. It is a dizzying blur, perhaps only 5 or 6 hours long. The sun, itself a younger, more energetic star, would tear across the sky in a blistering arc, searing the molten surface before plunging back into darkness almost as soon as it had appeared. This rapid spin gives the planet a slightly flattened oblate shape, like a ball of clay spun too quickly on a potter's wheel. It is a world off-kilter, a world of extremes. There is an atmosphere of a sort, but it is not the air you breathe. It is a suffocating, heavy blanket of silicate vapor, literally. Vaporized rock mixed with carbon dioxide, nitrogen, and the acrid fumes of sulfur belching from the planet-wide magma ocean. It hangs thick and heavy, trapping the heat in a runaway greenhouse effect that ensures the surface never, ever cools. To be here would be to be inside a furnace, inside a forge where a world is being hammered into existence. And listen. In the vast silence of space, listen with your mind's ear. What is missing? The rhythm, the heartbeat of our world, the tides. Without a large moon to anchor it, the Earth's molten surface is subject only to the weak gravitational pull of the distant sun and its own chaotic momentum. The magma ocean sloshes, but it does not have the steady rhythmic pulse of our familiar seas. There is no gentle ebb and flow, no cosmic inhalation and exhalation. There is only the chaotic churn of raw, untamed energy. This absence of a moon has another profound consequence. Our Earth today is stable, spinning on its axis with a gentle, predictable tilt of 23.5 degrees, which gives us our reliable seasons. This ancient Earth, however, has no such gravitational anchor. It wobbles. It stumbles through space on its axis, like a top beginning to lose its spin. Its axial tilt might lurch wildly, from nearly upright to almost lying on its side. This celestial wobble would create climatic shifts of unimaginable violence, if there were any climate to speak of. It's a world without rhythm, without stability, without a partner to hold it steady in the cosmic dance. It is a world of sublime, terrifying beauty, a perfect sphere of fire and light, wrapped in a shimmering haze of its own vaporized essence. It is complete in a way. It is a planet fully formed, taking its place in the celestial ballet of the young solar system. But it is not yet the Earth we know. It is not yet the cradle for life. It is missing a crucial piece of its history, a part of its very soul that has yet to be violently torn from it, and then lovingly returned. For now, just watch it. Watch this lonely, glowing orb spin in the darkness. Feel its frantic, untamed energy. Acknowledge its solitude. The silence of its sky is not an empty silence. It is a silence full of potential. A stage perfectly set for the most colossal and creative act of violence our world would ever know. The protagonist is here. But the catalyst, the wanderer that will change its destiny forever, is still offstage, moving silently through the darkness, its own journey slowly, inexorably, bending towards this one. Section 2: Thea, the Lost Titan. And now, pull your awareness back from the glowing furnace of the proto-Earth. Let your perspective widen, encompassing the black, empty stage around it. For our lonely protagonist is not truly alone. In the grand theater of the young solar system, another actor is moving silently through the wings, its path written in the subtle, yet inexorable language of gravity. Out there, in a shared celestial river around the young sun, travels another world. Let us give it the name scientists have chosen for this ghost planet, this lost titan, Thea. Imagine it now. It is a world in its own right, a cosmic sibling to the proto-Earth. It is smaller, perhaps the size of Mars, but no less a product of the same chaotic, creative forces. It too has coalesced from the dust and gas of the primordial nebula. A successful gathering of countless smaller bodies, a testament to gravity's patient artistry. It glows with its own trapped heat of formation, a smaller but still potent ember in the dark. It has its own molten core, its own churning magma ocean, its own story. It is a world that, in another telling, another universe might have gone on to have a history, to cool, to perhaps even harbor life. A world of what if. For millions of years, Theia and the Proto-Earth have been unwitting companions, engaged in a delicate and unwitting dance. They likely shared a remarkably similar orbit, like two runners on the same circular track. The laws of celestial mechanics allow for such strange partnerships. Perhaps Theia followed or led Earth in its orbit, held in a special place of gravitational balance known as a Lagrange point, a kind of cosmic quiet spot, where the pull of the Sun and Earth cancel each other out, creating a stable harbor. For eons they may have circled this way, two fiery worlds sharing a path, unaware of each other except as a particularly bright star in their respective skies. But the young solar system is not a quiet, stable place. It is a snooker table just after the break. Giant planets like Jupiter and Saturn are still migrating, their immense gravity sending ripples and shudders throughout the system. Stray planetesimals, the leftover debris of planet formation, zip through the dark like cosmic bullets. Nothing is truly stable. Nothing is permanent. And so the delicate dance begins to falter. A gravitational nudge here, a subtle perturbation there, and Theia is gently pushed from its comfortable, stable harbor. Its orbit, once so circular and predictable, begins to wobble. It's a slow, almost imperceptible change at first. Imagine a pendulum, swinging in a perfect arc, being gently touched. Its swing becomes less regular, more erratic. Theia's orbit begins to elongate, to stretch into an ellipse. The beautiful symmetry of its dance with Earth is broken. Now it is no longer a companion on the same track. Its path begins to cross Earth's. This is not a sudden swerve, but a slow million-year drift into catastrophe. From the surface of the Proto-Earth, Theia would have transformed over countless generations. What was once a steady, bright star in the sky would have begun to slowly oscillate, appearing to move back and forth over thousands of years. Then, as its orbit decayed further, it would have grown. Imperceptibly at first, but relentlessly. It would swell from a point of light to a small glowing disk, then a larger disk, then a small ruddy moon in the sky. Let us drift across the void and see this from Theia's perspective. From its molten, churning surface, the Proto-Earth would have undergone the same transformation. The bright star that was its orbital companion would have begun its own slow, magnificent expansion. It would become a disk of impossible brightness, a furnace in the sky, crisscrossed with the incandescent patterns of its own magma flows. It would dominate Theia's sky, a terrifying, beautiful omen of the world that was gravitationally reeling it in. There is no malice in this celestial approach. Theia is not an attacker. Earth is not a victim. They are simply two massive bodies, obeying the most fundamental law of the cosmos. Gravity. It is an invisible, silent, and infinitely patient force. It is the sculptor of galaxies and the architect of solar systems. And now, it is the author of this final chapter in Theia's existence. Feel that pull. That silent, irresistible summons across hundreds of thousands of miles of empty space. Two worlds calling to each other with their mass, their invisible hands reaching out and clasping, pulling them into a final world-shattering embrace. Theia is no longer a wanderer. It is a projectile. Its path is now sealed. Every mile it travels brings it closer. The space between the two worlds shrinks. You can almost feel the tidal forces beginning to stretch and deform them. The molten surfaces of both planets bulge towards each other, reaching out, as if in recognition. Theia is now a colossal sphere in Earth's sky. And Earth is a terrifying, all-encompassing god in Theia's. The end of Thea's journey is near. The end of its story as a separate world. But it is not an ending. It is a transformation. A sacrifice required to turn the lonely molten proto-Earth into the planet we know. Its immense energy and substance are about to become a part of a new, greater story. It is poised, a titan, a lost world, about to deliver a blow that will not destroy but create. Section 3. The slow-motion cosmic embrace. Let us hold this moment in our minds. The two glowing orbs, Titan and protoplanet, are now so close that their own gravity distorts them into egg-like shapes, their molten surfaces pulled taut, reaching for each other across a final, rapidly closing chasm of black space. There is no sound, no screech of tortured metal, no roar of atmospheric friction, for there is no air to carry it. There is only the silent, inexorable law of gravity reaching its crescendo. Imagine time itself beginning to stretch, to slow down, allowing us to witness every sublime, terrifying detail of this cosmic union. The final moments are not a frantic crash, but a strangely graceful, almost balletic merging. Thea does not strike Earth head-on. It delivers a glancing blow, a massive cosmic sideswipe. Now, watch the very first point of contact. The liquid incandescent skin of Thea, a surface of molten rock at thousands of degrees, touches the equally hot liquid skin of the proto-Earth. For an infinitesimal fraction of a second, two worlds become one. It is not a collision in the way we understand it. It is a fusion, a splash in a pond of fire, on a scale that defies all human imagination. A ripple of pure information, of sheer physical force, explodes from the point of contact. This is not a wave you can see, but you can picture its effect. It is a shock wave that travels not through air, but through the very substance of the planets themselves, through liquid rock. It is a wave of compression that flashes through the entire globe of the Earth in minutes, a silent thunderclap that would liquefy any solid matter instantly. The entire planet rings like a colossal bell, struck by a hammer the size of a world. Thea does not bounce off. It plows into the proto-Earth, its immense momentum carrying it deep into our planet's molten mantle. Picture a stone dropped into a thick, syrupy lake, but in a cosmic, fiery slow motion. Thea, the lost titan, surrenders its form, its identity as a planet, as it sinks into the larger body of Earth. It is an act of total consumption, of one world being devoured by another. But this is not a gentle process. The energy that must be released is almost incomprehensible. The kinetic energy of a Mars-sized planet moving at thousands of miles per hour is converted, in an instant, into heat. An unimaginable flash of heat. The point of impact and the surrounding tens of thousands of square miles are heated to temperatures hotter than the surface of the sun. This is not the melting of rock. This is the instantaneous vaporization of it. A vast portion of Thea and an equally vast gouge from the proto-Earth's mantle are not just melted, they are turned into a superheated, expanding cloud of silicate gas. Rock becomes vapor. Stone becomes atmosphere. Now watch the splash. As Thea carves its path into Earth, a plume of this vaporized and molten material is ejected back out into space. This is the colossal impact's most beautiful and most creative moment. It is not an explosion of jagged shards and dust. It is a graceful liquid arc of light. A wave of fire, a billion times larger than any solar prominence, rises from the planet's surface. It blossoms outwards, a flower of incandescent rock petals unfurling in the silent vacuum. It climbs for thousands of miles, defying the very gravity that caused this event. The sight is one of apocalyptic grandeur. The Earth for a moment is no longer a sphere. It is a wounded blazing god, wearing a crown of liquid light. This ejecta, this magnificent plume, contains the mixed essence of both worlds. The mantle of Earth and the shattered body of Thea, now blended into a single superheated substance. It is a genetic inheritance, written in fire and stone, being cast into the sky. And deep within the Earth, the final act of Thea's journey takes place. Its dense iron core, heavier than the surrounding molten silicate mantle of Earth, continues its plunge. It is a pilgrim, seeking the heart of the world it has struck. It dives downwards through thousands of miles of liquid rock, pulled by gravity towards the Earth's own iron core. And then it merges. Another silent fusion. The heart of the lost Titan joins with the heart of the proto-Earth, adding its own mass, its own history, its own angular momentum to our planet, forever changing the Earth's inner composition and its spin. We are left, at the end of this slow-motion moment, with a scene of profound transformation. The impact is over. Thea as a separate body is gone. It has been consumed, but its ghost, its very substance, has been reborn. The proto-Earth is now a larger, hotter, faster-spinning world, glowing with the fury of the collision. And rising from its surface, spreading out into the blackness, is a colossal expanding cloud of vaporized rock, the raw material, the stardust of a new creation, waiting for the next stage of its improbable genesis. The lonely protagonist is no longer alone. It is now forever entangled with the spirit of the world it embraced. Section 4. The Vaporized Ocean of Rock. Let your mind float in the aftermath. The cataclysmic moment of contact has passed. The physical body of Thea has been swallowed, its iron heart delivered to the core of our world. But the energy of this cosmic meeting now takes on a life of its own. It is a ghost that will shape the future. Focus your attention on the point of impact, on the wound that is not a wound but a crucible of creation. The temperature here beggars belief. Tens of thousands of degrees. It is a heat so extreme that the very concept of rock as a solid, or even a liquid, ceases to have meaning. Here stone has become a gas. A seething, incandescent, high-pressure vapor. We are witnessing the birth of a temporary, but planet-sized atmosphere made not of nitrogen and oxygen, but of silicon, iron, magnesium, and all the other elements that compose the mantle of a world. An ocean of vaporized rock. Imagine this atmosphere. It does not hang gently above a surface. It is the surface. There is no clear boundary where the molten planet ends and its gaseous shroud begins. It is a gradient of fire, a continuous transition from liquid magma to superheated vapor. This new atmosphere is incredibly dense and unimaginably hot, glowing with the light so brilliant, it would vaporize you from 1,000 miles away. It presses down upon the liquid planet with immense pressure, a heavy, fiery blanket wrapped around a wounded world. And it is expanding violently. This is not the gentle drift of clouds. This is the aftermath of the largest explosion our world has ever known. The vaporized rock cloud, born from the impact, billows outwards and upwards at tremendous speed, a spherical shockwave of light and heat. It swells to engulf the entire planet, wrapping the proto-Earth in a shell of its own vaporized essence. For a time, Earth would not have looked like a planet at all, but a small fuzzy star, its form blurred by the glowing, expanding envelope of silicate gas. From within this cloud, the world is a vision of hell. The roiling magma ocean below is whipped into a frenzy by the turbulence above. Planet-sized convection cells churn the molten rock, dredging up material from near the core and cycling it to the surface, where it too is vaporized and joins the glowing shroud. It's a self-perpetuating engine of heat. The thick, rocky atmosphere traps the thermal energy of the impact, preventing the planet from cooling, keeping it in this superheated state for what might be hundreds or even thousands of years. Let's try to comprehend the scale. The volume of rock turned to vapor is estimated to be colossal, enough to fill our modern oceans many times over. This isn't a small puff of smoke. It's a significant fraction of the planet's own mantle, liberated and turned into a temporary atmosphere. It carries with it the mixed DNA of two worlds, the signature of Earth's mantle and the signature of Thea's. They are no longer separate. In this glowing gaseous crucible, they are being homogenized, mixed, and blended into a new unique substance. a substance that holds the memory of both parents. This is the chaotic womb from which our moon will be born. The material is there. The heat is there. But it is formless. It is pure potential energy, a cloud of incandescent possibility. Any solid debris that was thrown out by the impact, smaller, unvaporized chunks would be flying through this searing gas, being flash melted and revaporized, their substance added to the expanding cloud. Everything is being reduced to its most basic gaseous state. And what of the proto-Earth below? It is fundamentally changed. The impact has supercharged its spin. A day, which was already a short 5 or 6 hours, may have been shortened even further, to a dizzying 2 or 3 hours. The planet is a screaming, spinning top of liquid fire, so fast that its equator bulges outwards dramatically. It is a world stretched and deformed by its own rotational fury. This rapid spin is crucial. It acts like a centrifuge, helping to fling material outwards. It means that not all of the vaporized rock will simply fall back down onto the surface. The energy of the impact, combined with this new frantic rotation, gives a portion of this material the velocity it needs to escape the immediate crushing gravity of the planet. It doesn't escape completely, not yet. It is thrown just high enough to enter a precarious orbit. Slowly, over centuries, the most intense heat begins to radiate away into the coldness of space. The vaporized rock atmosphere starts to cool. And as it cools, something magical begins to happen. Just as water vapor in our own atmosphere cools and condenses into droplets of liquid water to form clouds, this silicate vapor begins to cool and condense. But it doesn't form droplets of water. It forms droplets of liquid rock. Molten lava. A rain of fire begins to fall back towards the planet, a constant global storm of liquid magma. But a significant portion, the part thrown highest and fastest, does not fall back. It remains in orbit, a swirling chaotic cloud of glowing molten droplets, beginning to trace a new and extraordinary shape in the sky. The vaporized ocean of rock has done its work. It has mixed the ingredients and tossed them high into the heavens. Section 5. A ring of fire and dust. Now let your perspective pull back once more. From a vantage point of a few 100,000 miles, watch as the initial, chaotic, globe-encircling cloud of vapor begins to evolve. The immediate, violent expansion has ended. The system is beginning to find a new, temporary equilibrium. Gravity and angular momentum are now the dominant sculptors. The material that was flung into space, that vast quantity of vaporized and molten rock from both Theia and the proto-Earth, did not fly away in all directions. The physics of the glancing blow and the Earth's now rapid spin have channeled this debris into a specific region, a flattened orbiting disk centered on the planet's equator. The chaotic cloud is being organized. It is being shepherded into a ring. But do not picture the icy, elegant rings of Saturn. This is a structure forged in unimaginable fire. It is a ring of liquid light. A celestial smoke ring made not of smoke, but of molten rock droplets, dust, and still gaseous vapor, all glowing at thousands of degrees. It is a brilliant, incandescent torus of fire surrounding the swollen, rapidly spinning Earth. It would have been the most spectacular sight in the entire solar system. A vision of both heaven and hell, wrapped around our world. Imagine standing on the surface of the proto-Earth if you could survive the heat. You would look up not at a single point of light, but at a solid arch of fire stretching from one horizon to the other. It would fill the sky. A river of light, a celestial highway of impossible brightness, dwarfing the distant sun. Its light would banish the night, bathing the molten surface below in a perpetual hellish twilight. The very concept of darkness would have ceased to exist on Earth for this period of its history. Let's drift into the ring itself. It is not a solid object. It is a swarm, a blizzard of molten rock. Droplets and blobs of lava, from the size of sand grains to the size of mountains, are all orbiting the Earth together. They move at incredible speeds, yet relative to each other. They are a jostling, colliding crowd. The ring is a demolition derby on a planetary scale. Smaller droplets constantly collide and merge, creating larger droplets. Larger molten blobs smash into each other, some sticking together, others shattering into a spray of smaller fiery beads. The ring is a dynamic living system, constantly changing, constantly evolving. It is thick and dense, especially near the planet, so dense in fact that it would be opaque. It casts a deep, dark shadow on the equatorial regions of the Earth, even as its own light illuminates the rest of the planet. And it is a place of sorting. As the vapor in the ring continues to cool, the heavier, more refractory elements, those that solidify at higher temperatures, begin to condense first. Lighter, more volatile elements remain as a gas for longer. There's a chemical gradient being established within the ring. This is a crucial step. The moon we know today is poor in these volatile elements compared to Earth, and this fiery sorting ring is the reason why. They were simply blown away by the heat and the solar wind, or took too long to condense and were never incorporated into the new body. The ring also has a defined boundary. There is a specific distance from the Earth called the Roche limit. Inside this limit, the tidal forces of the main planet are stronger than the self-gravity of a smaller body. Any large object that tries to form here will be torn apart. So the inner part of this ring closest to the Earth is a chaotic zone of pure debris, unable to coalesce. But outside the Roche limit, gravity's other nature can begin to take over. Not the force that tears apart, but the force that builds. The force that gathers. The ring would not have been perfectly uniform. Like cream stirred into coffee, it would have had whirls, eddies, and clumps. Denser regions where, by chance, more material had gathered. These denser pockets would have slightly more gravity than their surroundings. They would begin to pull in more material, a process of runaway growth. These gravitational seeds, these future mountain-sized building blocks of the moon, are starting to form in the cooler, outer regions of the fiery ring. For thousands of years, this spectacular, impossible structure dominates the near-Earth environment. It is a temporary monument to the collision, a shining fiery halo that contains all the raw materials for the next act of creation. It is the ghost of Theia, not haunting the Earth but embracing it. The violent, formless cloud of vapor has been tamed by the laws of physics, spun into a disk of astonishing beauty. It is a potter's wheel laden with clay, ready for the patient hand of gravity to begin its slow, meticulous work of sculpting a new world. The spectacle is breathtaking, but it is ephemeral. The fire will cool, and from its embers, something solid and singular is destined to emerge. Section 6. Gravity's patient, sculpting hand. Now let the fires of the magnificent ring begin to cool. The most brilliant, incandescent fury has subsided, radiating its excess heat into the blackness of space. The ring is still hot, still glowing a dull cherry red. But the process of creation is shifting from one of explosive energy to one of quiet, inexorable patience. The stage is set for the most subtle and powerful force in the universe to take over: gravity. Focus your mind on the outer regions of this cooling debris ring, beyond the disruptive pull of the Roche limit. Here the cosmic dance of accretion begins. It is a process not of violence, but of gentle, persistent gathering. A cosmic harvest. Imagine two small droplets of molten rock, orbiting side by side. They are insignificant on their own, two specks in a cloud of trillions. But they possess mass and therefore they possess gravity. A whisper of a pull, infinitesimally small, but it is there. It is a silent invitation. Over countless orbits, this tiny attraction is enough to slowly, gently nudge their paths closer together. Eventually they touch. And because they are still semi-molten, they don't bounce. They merge. One slightly larger droplet, with a slightly stronger gravitational pull. This is the secret. Gravity is a force that rewards size. The rich get richer. The single larger droplet now has a slightly better chance of attracting a third. And when it does, it becomes larger still. its gravitational voice growing from a whisper to a soft word. Now multiply this process by trillions upon trillions. Across the entire expanse of the outer ring, this gentle ballet is unfolding. It is a slow statistical miracle. Dust grains stick to pebbles. Pebbles are drawn to boulders. Boulders, still glowing with their own heat, are slowly nudged towards mountain-sized aggregations of matter. These are the first true building blocks of the moon, the planetesimals. Picture these nascent objects. They are not smooth spheres. They are lumpy, misshapen conglomerates of smaller bodies, stuck together at odd angles. They look like cosmic potatoes, tumbling slowly through the swarm of lesser debris. Their surfaces are a patchwork of cooling crust and still molten patches where a recent collision has occurred. Gravity is the patient sculptor, but its work is not neat. It is a messy, chaotic process. The ring is still a crowded place. Collisions are constant. While many are gentle, constructive mergers, some are still violent. A newly formed planetesimal hundreds of miles across might be struck by another large body at a high relative speed. The impact could be catastrophic, shattering both back into a cloud of smaller debris, resetting the process. The formation of the moon is a story of 2 steps forward, 1 step back. But the overall trend is one of growth. Over time, a few dozen of these planetesimals grow to become dominant. They become the gravitational bullies of their orbital neighborhood. Their influence is now significant. They clear out wide lanes in the debris ring, their gravity hoovering up the dust and smaller particles in their path. The once uniform ring now begins to look clumpy, with vast empty gaps separating the orbits of these few dozen protomoons. Each of these large bodies is a world in its own right. They have enough gravity to pull themselves into rough spheres. The heat from their constant bombardment by smaller debris, combined with the trapped heat of their formation, keeps their interiors molten. They begin to differentiate just as the Earth did. Heavier elements like iron start to sink towards their centers, forming tiny cores. Lighter silicate materials rise to form mantles and crusts. They are miniature planets being built in the great workshop of the ring. This process is slow, taking perhaps only a few hundred years or maybe many thousands. Time flows differently on these cosmic scales. It is a period of intense, focused creation. The diffuse, fiery ring is being consolidated. Its mass is being transferred from trillions of tiny particles into a handful of large, substantial bodies. Think of gravity as a silent, invisible artist. It has no hands, yet it sculpts worlds. It has no voice, yet it calls matter together across the void. Its only tool is mass, and its only medium is time. Here, in the cooling embers of the great impact, it is performing its masterpiece. It is taking the ghost of Thea and the blood of the earth, scattered into a ring of fire, and methodically, patiently, lovingly, it is gathering the pieces. It is molding them, shaping them, building them up from dust into mountains, from mountains into worlds. The diffuse, spectacular ring is fading, its light and substance being drawn into these new concentrated points of gravitational power. The stage is being cleared for the final act of assembly. The many are about to become one. Section 7. The birth of the protomoon. The cosmic sculpting is entering its final dramatic phase. The once dense ring of fire and debris is now a shadow of its former self. Most of its mass, its substance, its memory, has been consolidated into a few dozen large, glowing bodies. These are the winners of the gravitational lottery, the protomoons, each one a molten sphere hundreds of miles in diameter, orbiting the Earth in a tense, unstable celestial formation. The system cannot remain like this. It is too crowded. There is not enough room for so many large objects to share the same orbital space. Their gravitational influences on each other are now immense and disruptive. The gentle, constructive ballet of accretion is about to give way to a final, chaotic demolition derby. Imagine the scene. A sky, as seen from the still glowing Earth, that is no longer filled with a solid arch of light, but is now punctuated by several large, ruddy, moon-like orbs. They would rise and set at different speeds, their paths through the sky weaving a complex, tangled pattern. They would eclipse each other, their gravitational pulls tangling, creating a deeply unstable system. Now gravity begins its final sorting. The protomoons begin to pull on each other, perturbing their once stable orbits. An orbit that was nearly circular becomes elliptical. A path that was clear now intersects with the path of a sibling. The endgame has begun. Let us follow two of these sibling moons. For centuries they may have orbited peacefully, but a gravitational nudge from a third body sends one of them into a new decaying orbit. It begins to spiral slowly inward, towards its slightly larger sibling. The space between them shrinks. The tidal forces grow. Their molten surfaces bulge towards each other. A final familiar echo of the initial Earthia embrace. The collision, when it comes, is on a scale that is still immense, but it is gentler than the first great impact. These are not two separate planets meeting for the first time. They are bodies born from the same cloud, moving in roughly the same direction. The impact is more of a merger, a slow-motion cosmic splash. One molten sphere flows into the other. A brilliant flash of light. A new shower of ejected, glowing debris, much of which rains back down onto the newly merged larger body. The combined object is now hotter, its mass greater, its gravitational voice louder. It has absorbed its sibling, and in doing so has become more dominant. This process repeats. It is a cosmic battle royale where the largest body inevitably wins. The new larger moon continues on its path, its gravity now a more powerful disruptive force on the remaining siblings. One by one, over a period that might have been as short as a single year or as long as a century, the remaining protomoons are swept up. They are consumed. Some are absorbed in relatively gentle mergers. Others might be struck at a more oblique angle, sending them careening into the Earth itself, a final fiery sacrifice. Still others could be ejected from the Earth-Moon system entirely, flung out into the solar system to become lonely, wandering asteroids. We are witnessing the final violent birth pains, the chaotic coming together of all the pieces. Each collision adds mass. Each merger adds heat, keeping the growing body in a completely molten state. It is being forged in a series of planetary-scale hammer blows. And then there is one. The chaos subsides. The cosmic demolition derby is over. The sky is clear of all but a single dominant, magnificent sphere. This is the proto-moon. It is a ball of liquid fire. A perfect sphere of magma thousands of miles in diameter, glowing with a brilliant yellow-white heat. It has swept its orbit clean of all competitors. It has consumed its siblings and consolidated all the hopes of the debris ring into one singular, glorious object. It is born. Look at it now. It is perfect. A world formed from the blended remains of Proto-Earth and Theia. It has a small iron core, formed from the cores of the planetesimals that created it. It has a deep global ocean of magma. It has no atmosphere. Any gases released in its formation were instantly boiled away by the heat and the vacuum of space. It is a pristine, fiery, silent world. This newborn moon is not the distant, pale companion we know. It is a giant in the sky. It has formed just outside the Roche limit, perhaps only 15,000 miles from the Earth's surface, more than 15 times closer than it is today. If you stood on the proto-Earth, the moon would not be a disk you could cover with your thumb. It would be a colossal, terrifying, beautiful presence, taking up a huge portion of the sky. Its apparent size would be enormous, like a giant celestial lantern hanging just overhead. Its searing heat and brilliant light would illuminate the Earth's molten surface. The two bodies, creator and created, would face each other, both glowing, both liquid, locked in a fiery gravitational embrace. The moon has been born, but its story, and its profound influence on the world that made it, is only just beginning. Section 8. A giant in the primordial sky. Now let us linger in this new transformed reality. The chaos of creation has subsided, leaving behind a stark and wondrous celestial tableau. The rapidly spinning molten proto-Earth and its colossal fiery newborn moon. Hold this image. The two bodies are locked in a gravitational embrace so intimate, so powerful, that it will shape the destiny of both worlds for eons to come. The proto-moon hangs in the primordial sky, a breathtaking dominant presence. At a mere 15,000 miles away, it appears more than 15 times larger in diameter than the moon we see today. It would stretch across nearly 30 degrees of the sky, the width of 3 of your fists held at arm's length. It is not a subtle silvery disk. It is an overwhelming orb of molten rock, glowing with a fierce yellow-white light from its own incredible heat. It radiates a palpable warmth across the short distance to Earth, adding its own heat to the already incandescent planet below. This nearness has a profound and immediate consequence. Tides. We think of tides as the gentle rise and fall of ocean water. But on this primordial Earth there are no water oceans. The tide is in the rock itself. It is a magma tide. As the Earth spins beneath the immense, looming moon, the moon's gravity pulls on the planet. A colossal bulge of molten rock, miles high, is raised on the Earth's surface, pointing directly at the moon. A corresponding bulge forms on the opposite side of the planet. These are not gentle swells. These are planet-sized waves of liquid stone, constantly circling the globe as the Earth spins frantically on its axis. Imagine a permanent, global tidal wave of magma, a ceaseless sloshing of the entire planetary surface, driven by the gravitational pull of this new enormous companion. The friction generated by this colossal internal movement of rock creates even more heat within the Earth, keeping it molten for longer than it otherwise would have been. And the Earth, in turn, exerts its own immense gravitational pull on the newborn moon. The moon, too, is a ball of liquid rock. The Earth's gravity raises similar, huge tidal bulges on the moon's surface. This constant stretching and deforming has a critical effect. It creates friction within the moon, and this friction acts as a brake. The moon was likely born with its own spin, but the relentless tidal pull of the much more massive Earth rapidly slows it down. Within a very short time, geologically speaking, the moon's rotation is slowed until it matches its orbital period. It becomes tidally locked. This is a moment of profound intimacy. From this point forward, the moon will only ever show one face to the Earth. The near side becomes forever oriented towards its creator, while the far side is turned permanently away, a hidden face that humanity would not see until the dawn of the space age. This locking is a form of surrender, a testament to the overwhelming gravitational power of the Earth. The two bodies are now locked in a perfectly synchronized dance. But this dance has consequences. The Earth is spinning much, much faster than the moon is orbiting. The Earth's frantic rotation, a day lasting perhaps only 5 hours, tries to drag the huge magma tidal bulges ahead of the moon's position in the sky. But the moon's gravity will not let them go. It pulls back on these bulges, trying to keep them aligned. This gravitational tug-of-war is the key to the entire future of the system. The moon's pull on the Earth's tidal bulges acts as a brake on the planet. It is a constant, gentle, but irresistible drag on the Earth's rotation. The Earth's spin begins to slow down. The frantic 5-hour day begins to lengthen. An hour becomes a few minutes longer, then a few minutes more. It is an imperceptible change day by day, but over millions of years it is a transformation. The moon is literally stealing rotational energy from the Earth. But energy is never destroyed. It is only transferred. Where does the Earth's stolen rotational energy go? It is transferred to the moon. And for a body in orbit, adding energy does one thing. It pushes it into a higher orbit. So as the Earth's day begins to lengthen, the moon begins to move away. The great cosmic embrace begins to loosen. The slow farewell has begun. Inch by inch, mile by mile, the moon starts its long, slow spiral away from the world that birthed it. It is a process born of tidal forces, a graceful exchange of momentum that will continue for billions of years. The giant in the primordial sky will not remain a giant forever. It is on a journey outwards into the deep, a journey that is powered by the very slowing of our own world. Section 9. The long, slow farewell. The fiery, dramatic birth is over. The initial, intimate embrace is set. Now begins the longest and quietest act of our story, the long, slow farewell. This is a chapter written not in moments of cataclysm, but in the patient, cumulative effect of gravitational whispers over billions of years. It is a story of a gradual, inexorable parting, a dance that continues even now as you rest. Let us accelerate time watching the Earth-Moon system evolve. The process is driven by that same tidal interaction we just witnessed. The Earth's rotation continues to slow, dragged down by the Moon's pull on its tidal bulges. And with every bit of rotational energy the Earth loses, the Moon gains orbital energy, pushing it further and further away. In the first few 100 million years, the change is dramatic. The Moon, which began its life as a colossal orb just 15,000 miles away, has already drifted out to a distance of 100,000 miles, then 150,000. As it recedes, its apparent size in the Earth's sky shrinks. It is no longer an overwhelming, sky-filling presence, but a more modest, though still very large, disk. Its gravitational pull weakens with distance, and so the colossal magma tides on the Earth begin to lessen in their ferocity. This lessening of the tides allows the Earth, at long last, to begin to truly cool. A solid crust can finally begin to form on its surface, a delicate, dark skin of basalt floating on the still molten mantle. This crust is constantly being shattered by asteroid impacts and torn apart by the violent volcanism of the young planet. But it is a start. The Earth is beginning to transition from a liquid world to a solid one. And as the Earth cools, water vapor delivered by comets and outgas from the planet's interior can finally condense. The first oceans begin to form. Now the Moon's tidal pull has a new medium to work with. The daily tides are still immense, far greater than anything we experience today. With the Moon perhaps half its current distance away, the oceans would have seen tidal ranges of hundreds, perhaps even thousands of feet. The water would have rushed in and out with incredible force, sweeping far inland and then receding, rhythmically scouring the newly formed coastlines of the first continents. Some scientists believe this frantic, high-energy tidal environment may have been a crucial crucible for the dawn of life. This constant mixing and churning of water in shallow, nutrient-rich tidal pools could have provided the perfect laboratory for complex organic molecules to meet, interact, and eventually form the first self-replicating cells. The Moon, our silent partner, may have literally stirred the primordial soup from which all life on Earth emerged. Meanwhile, the Earth's day continues to lengthen. From its frantic 5 hours, it slows to 10 hours, then 15, then 20. This slowing has a stabilizing effect. The wild wobble of the lonely proto-Earth's axis is now gone. The massive Moon acts as a powerful gyroscope, a gravitational anchor that holds the Earth steady. It locks our planet's axial tilt into a stable, predictable range, giving rise to the gentle, reliable cycle of the seasons. Without the Moon, Earth's climate would be a chaotic nightmare of wild, unpredictable swings. Our stable, life-friendly climate is a direct gift from our receding companion. Let's watch the Moon itself on its outward journey. As it drifts away, it too is cooling. Its global magma ocean solidifies into a thick, anorthosite crust, the bright highlands we see today as the lighter patches on the Moon's surface. For a time, it is still geologically active, with vast volcanic eruptions flooding huge impact basins with dark basaltic lava. These are the Maria, the dark seas, that form the familiar face of the man in the Moon. But because the Moon is small, its internal heat dissipates relatively quickly. The volcanism ceases. Its geological heart grows cold. It becomes a geologically dead world, its surface preserved in a near-perfect vacuum, changed only by the slow, steady sandblasting of micrometeorites and the occasional punctuation of a new impact crater. The drift continues. Billions of years pass. The dinosaurs gaze up at a moon that is larger and closer than our own. The tides are still stronger. The days are still shorter, perhaps 23 hours long. The slow separation is a constant cosmic clock, measuring the deep history of our planet. And so we arrive at today. The moon now orbits at an average distance of about 239,000 miles. It has shrunk in our sky to the familiar, beautiful orb we know. A perfect circle that can be covered by the tip of your thumb. The Earth's day has slowed to a leisurely 24 hours. The tides are a gentle echo of their former, world-shaping violence. But the farewell is not over. The dance continues. Using laser reflectors left on the moon's surface by the Apollo astronauts, scientists can measure its retreat with incredible precision. The moon is still moving away from us at a rate of about 1.5 inches, or 3.8 centimeters per year. Roughly the same speed at which your fingernails grow. It is an imperceptible, yet relentless departure. The Earth's day is still getting longer, though by only a tiny fraction of a second every century. The long, slow farewell, which began in fire and fury 4.5 billion years ago, continues silently tonight and every night to come. Section 10. Our constant silent witness. And so, our journey through deep time brings us back to the present. Back to the quiet of this room, to the soft rhythm of your own breath. Let your awareness return gently, carrying with it the echoes of cosmic fire and planetary birth. Step outside in your mind and look up at the night sky. There it is. The moon. Gaze upon it. See it not as a simple light in the darkness but as a fossil. It is a celestial fossil, perfectly preserved, telling the story we have just witnessed. The bright, heavily cratered highlands are the remnants of its original primordial crust, a crust that solidified from a global ocean of magma. They are the oldest surfaces, bearing the scars of the final violent cleanup of the solar system, the late heavy bombardment. They are a silent testament to the moon's fiery molten past. Then look at the dark, smooth plains, the Maria, the seas. These are not seas of water, but seas of solidified lava. They are the footprints of ancient volcanoes that erupted billions of years ago, flooding the lowest-lying impact basins. They speak of a time when the moon had a hot, active heart, before it cooled into the quiet, geologically silent world it is today. They form the familiar face, the man in the moon, a pattern born from a symphony of ancient impacts and volcanism. Every feature on its surface is a paragraph in the epic story of its creation. It is the surviving evidence of the colossal impact. It is the proof of Theia, the lost titan. The moon's composition, so similar to Earth's mantle yet so poor in iron and volatile elements, is the precise chemical signature we would expect from a body born from the ejected, superheated debris of a planetary collision. It is the crime scene and the smoking gun, all wrapped into one beautiful silent sphere. It is our constant companion. It has witnessed everything. It saw the Earth cool from a ball of fire to a world with a solid crust. It watched the first oceans rain from the sky. Its tidal pull may have stirred the waters where life first sparked into existence. It watched the first continents drift and collide. It saw the rise and fall of the dinosaurs, and the slow, steady ascent of mammals. It has been the silent observer of every chapter of Earth's history, because its own history is inextricably woven with ours. We were born from the same cataclysmic event. It is not just our moon. It is our sibling, a part of the Earth given a separate life in the sky. Its presence has shaped us. It has stabilized our planet's rotation, giving us the steady seasons that have allowed complex life and civilization to flourish. Its tides have dictated the rhythms of coastal life for millennia. Its gentle reflected light has guided nocturnal travelers, inspired poets, lovers, and dreamers. It has been a source of wonder, a target for our curiosity, the first other world upon which human beings have ever set foot. It is a constant reminder of both our cosmic origins and our potential to reach beyond our terrestrial cradle. Tonight and every night, when you see it, remember its journey. Remember the lonely, molten proto-Earth. Remember Thea, the lost wanderer. Remember the slow-motion embrace, the ring of fire, and the patient gravitational gathering of its substance. Remember the giant it once was in our sky, and the long, slow farewell it is still undertaking. The serene, silvery orb hanging in the velvet darkness is not a sign of peace. It is a monument to the most violent event our world has ever known. Its quiet, steady light is the faint, cool-down echo of an unimaginable fire. It is our celestial partner, our anchor, our historian, our silent, constant witness. It is the other half of our world's story, written in stone and light, for all to see. Now, as our journey concludes, feel the sense of connection. The same elements that formed the Earth, that formed Thea, that now make up the Moon, are also within you. You are, in a very real sense, stardust, forged in the heart of stars and blended in the crucible of a planetary collision. Let this thought cradle you as you drift towards sleep. The universe is not a distant, separate thing. You are a part of its grand, unfolding story. Rest now. Let the gentle light of our cosmic companion illuminate your dreams. Good night and sweet dreams.